Can you hear that sound, by the way?
Can you hear that sound that's going on out there? Because that's all I hear.
Oh, well, I meant the sound of not being interrupted.
Oh, what is that? What's going on? Oh, from Chris not being here. Okay. I didn't know.
That
You were pointing behind you, and I thought, yeah, I see a window. I thought you were like pointing at the window, like, yeah, and I thought, oh, was there construction going on before that I don't hear now?
I would even take construction noise over Haberman's interrupting.
I mean, that's why we had to secretly record today without him knowing. You look like you've gotten a lot of sun, or that could be just the lighting.
So I have gotten a lot of sun. I'm a little concerned that the camera it's sort of making it look like I fell asleep while tanning.
It looks like you were like yesterday, you were at the pool for like 6 hours, is what it looks like right now, like in Arizona.
When I was away visiting my sister for a week, we spent a lot of time outside because the weather was great. So I
Mhm.
have gotten a lot of sun. On one of the days, she had to go into work, so she was at work all day. I took a walk, and then I don't know. I found a nice bar by the sea, and I sat in the sun for like 5 hours until she got off
Yeah.
work, and I just kept drinking, and my nose was really really red afterwards.
I mean, that sounds fun. Like just getting like sitting by the sea, drinking, and not realizing how much time has passed. Like
Yeah,
that's an acceptable circumstance to get a little
it,
burnt.
it was great, and I'm also pretty sure alcohol hits harder when you're out in the sun.
Oh yeah. Last week we went to this thing at our neighborhood complex where they tore down the tennis court and they built this thing called the yard, and it's like this neighborhood gathering thing where it's got like fake grass, it's got a sand pit, and it's got like ping pong tables,
Oh, okay,
and
is
it's
it
also
actually nice?
no, yeah, it is actually. It's really nice. They just finished building it. They also like had a bunch of food trailers lined up there.
Food,
Um,
do you mean food trucks?
you guys asked me this. I said no, there was no truck. It's just the trailers. They dropped off. Like, I know what a food truck is, but
Uh-huh.
these things didn't have an engine or steering wheel. They were just the trailer. The truck was gone. They were food trailers. They were just like, those like Hollywood trailers that they use for like, I'm gonna be in my trailer. Those like
It's the
Airstreams, but they were
it,
like gutted out and just made into kitchens.
it's the kind that Leo would trash in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, she trashed it, and then they're like, "Well, we got to rip all this out," and then they made it into a kitchen.
I rewatched that movie the other day, and
Yeah, I
it's
know.
so good. I love that film.
It was like 95 degrees and really sunny, and so we went to this thing because it was the grand opening, and we took all the kids, and we could walk there. So I have like a big 32-ounce Yeti thermos cup. I filled it up with gin, a dash of sparkling water, and I
Balance is
just
important.
it's just started. I mean, there was ice in there too, so obviously the ice waters it down some once it melts. But with the thing with the Yeti, the ice doesn't melt so much. I had to walk back and forth a couple times to get stuff that we left at home, or get like or take someone back to go to the bathroom, or just whatever. And I found that.
How far away is this?
I mean, I don't like maybe like 2 blocks.
Oh, okay.
It's like really close. I found that as I was walking, I would drink more than if I was like over there dealing with the kids and helping out and stuff. And I noticed that one of the times I walked back, I was like really drunk, and it's like it must be the sun. So I think I blamed it on the sun. I don't think that I was drinking too much. I think it
Did
was the sun.
did you have to refill it?
Did I topped it off?
I got a very nice table. I was sitting there reading a book, watching people, and like the only walking around I did was I walked over to the bar, got another drink, and went back. So I didn't like do any. But then I had to go up and go to the bathroom and pee. Holy shit! Just standing still and aiming was a struggle. That's what I realized, that this might have been a bad idea. Can you guess what I'm drinking right now? No,
That looks like beer.
no, it is.
But I know you don't drink beer. It looks like maybe cranberry juice or beer.
Oh, very close. It is lingonberry juice.
Lingonberry juice.
Yeah.
What are we doing with lingonberry? What's a lingonberry?
the lingonberry. That's the lingonberry. See,
Oh, okay.
they're not
Oh.
actually this big.
They sell that at IKEA, don't they?
They serve it with meatballs, or at least they should. It's delicious.
I've never eaten a single thing from the IKEA food court.
How many times have you been to an IKEA?
Probably dozens.
The food might be even better than the furniture, and that's saying something.
How do the meatballs come, and what kind of instructions come with them?
I don't know. They're probably made out of horse. Who gives a shit? They taste delicious. You have a countdown?
Well, yeah. So it's a type of countdown, but we both have to participate in it. There are 26 counts in the countdown, the same number of letters in the alphabet. So last night, we were driving home and it was kind of late, and Rhett was getting tired, and he was saying, like, I'm gonna fall asleep. And I said, no, do not fall asleep, because when Rhett falls asleep, he like really falls asleep like quick. He's just out, and it's impossible to wake him up. There's been times when we've gotten home before and I've had to wake him up to get him out of the car, and he won't wake up. I practically have to carry him inside.
I'm pretty sure I have witnessed this happening.
Yeah, exactly. Rhett is a very deep sleeper and does not wake up. And I was like, Brett, no. And so I told him, I said, do the bathroom ABC song. And that wasn't a thing before I said it. And he said, what's the bathroom ABC song? You say the ABCs, but every letter relates to a word about the bathroom. So you have to think of something about the bathroom for every letter. And so then he's like, I don't get it. And so I did the entire alphabet on the way home, and I got to Z right when we pulled in the driveway to park.
Can I start? I think I get the game.
So we're going to alternate. You okay. Start.
I start. And so for every letter, it has to relate to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Anal.
There you go. B. I'm going to keep it going. B is for BM that you do in the bathroom.
C is for closet, as in water closet.
D is for your dick when you pee out of your dick. These aren't the exact ones I did last night, but some of them were similar.
E is for enormous, like an enormous thumb.
F is for I've got to take a fucking shit.
G is for groom, because that's a good hiding spot on your wedding night.
H, hemorrhoids. I think I got hemorrhoids from trying to push out that dump.
I is for ice, because sometimes you get sore after you've been pulling a big shift.
J, just hold on a minute. I've got to go poop.
What comes after that? K?
A lot of it was me trying to remember which letter is next once we got to J through S.
K is for the KKK, because they like bathrooms because they're often white.
That's a good one. L, lavatory. Some people call a bathroom a lavatory.
M is for moist.
Okay.
In
nobody's going to tell me where I can't poop and where I can't poop.
O is for oral.
All right. P, protrusion. Sometimes if I could have gone just P for P, but protrusion. Sometimes you can hurt yourself if you push too hard and you'll have a protrusion.
What comes after that? Q?
Q. Have we skipped some? It feels like we skipped some.
No, I don't know the alphabet.
We'll listen back to it. Q. Yeah, you're on Q.
Quixotic. It's in a quixotic shower.
Racists. Even racists use the bathroom.
Do they know? Are we sure?
That's in Everybody Poops.
S is for shitstorm.
E, toilet. The toilet is in the bathroom.
U is for I don't want you in there with me.
B, venereal diseases can be caught from public toilets.
W is for wonder bra, because they're sometimes difficult to get off when you're in a hurry.
I can do X. What did I do for X last night? Xylophone. It looks like I pooped a xylophone.
Y is for Y. I need to go relieve myself.
Z. Zero chance I'm going to make it to the bathroom before this diarrhea comes out.
I would probably close the door if I saw a zebra in the bathroom.
Yeah, if you go in the bathroom, there's a zebra. You go back out. You've gone into the animal bathroom.
There are no more letters in the American
That's it.
alphabet, right?
That's the
Okay.
end of the
Yeah.
American alphabet. I
Okay.
think we got all 26.
We have 3 more in the Swedish one. Okay, Tim, play the intro.
Now the story of an eclectic fan base who lost touch with reality and the one podcast that somehow holds them all together. It's the Substandard Expanded Universe.
I think we should start pretending like Tim is here, like he's our.
We have to schedule him just for the beginning of the recording, and then he just sits silently the rest of the time. It's a big commitment for him.
Yeah, he's like the bald Canadian guy in the Late Show. What's his name?
Paul Shaver.
Yeah, that's it. Is he actually famous in Canada? Is he like the most famous? Like besides William Shatner?
No, because like Ryan Reynolds is Canadian.
Oh, that's true. Hey, speaking of William Shatner, what did you post that he's going to do for Russian state television?
Yeah, so let me look up what the name of the show is, but he's doing a show that he's doing on, and he tweeted that, I've got this show coming out, and then he like tagged RT in the tweet. He was arguing with people on Twitter about how they were saying like, you're doing a show for like a propaganda network, and he was just like, no, he was just arguing with people about how they don't know what they're talking about. Russia Today is not propaganda. I wouldn't have anything to do with propaganda. Here's the trailer for it. I'm gonna play the trailer.
In May of 2021, the remains of a 20-ton chunk of a Chinese rocket came crashing into Earth.
Oh no, is he like debunking Russian?
Just how much stuff is up there? And how did it get there? And do I really need to also be worried that some piece of space debris could fall out of the sky? And how big a problem is this? I'm William Shatner, and I don't understand.
No.
No one does.
Well, all right. So what is? I'm really glad we're on the New York Post website. That's a source I trust.
Oh, yeah.
But
that was the first thing that came up when I Googled it. I just clicked on the first link, and so that's why.
All right, but what is it? Is he? I mean, there are 2 possible options here. One is he has turned 90. And he's obviously just gone completely senile.
That's kind of what my tweet was alluding to, because I said nobody that knows him couldn't have like said something about, hey, this is a bad idea, so that the Shat doesn't end his career, with a show on the Russian propaganda network. Because like we don't want to remember William Shatner this way, and
No.
because this sounds like he's going to be like debunking like Russia did not shoot down that plane.
Yeah, it literally sounds like the Kremlin could have written this. The other option is that maybe he put all his money in Bitcoin and it was all stolen, so he's just broke.
When Dogecoin dropped to 24 cents today from a high of like 68 cents, maybe he lost after Elon sold his and got out. And every time it drops and Elon Musk buys back in with like $100 million, then he tweets something about it and it spikes like 20 cents. And then that's just one tweet, and then he sells it again. And then he gets back out.
Yeah, that shit is so shit. I mean, he's being investigated for that garbage stuff. But
he should be, because it seems very clear that he's manipulating it. I mean, he's admitted that he's bought at least some, because he said, "Oh, I bought my son Dogecoin to teach him about cryptocurrency." Because that's how you learn about cryptocurrency technology, is your dad gives you some of it.
Transition. I want to talk. So it is, well, I guess now it's the summer, but we've had the spring here. And during the spring, what do you have during the spring? You have a lot of weddings during the spring. It's a season of joy. And I stumbled upon a news item in the reputable Daily Mail which, you know,
Sure.
we do our fact checking here on the podcast. And I did find an article here. In India, weddings are a big deal in the US too, right? But in India, it just feels like they make an even bigger deal out of it.
Okay, I wasn't aware of this, but that sounds fine.
Yeah.
Nothing problematic so far.
No. So they really like their fucking weddings. But so these two families, they were congregated. They had been partying for days. It was finally time for the wedding. The husband and wife were up on the stage at the altar, whatever you call that thing. They started the ceremony, and you know what happened in the middle of it? The bride just died. Before they were married, she just collapsed, and they rushed the village doctor there, but you know, I mean, it's India, couldn't help her, she died. What do you think they did when faced with this predicament?
Found a replacement?
Yes.
No. Okay, so this was like an arranged marriage, and they're like, look, there is way too much relying on uniting our families to let one death of the bride stand in the way. She's got a sister. Let's get her up here. She's a little older.
Her youngest sister.
Oh boy, I was hoping it went the other way.
Look, they gathered both of the families. There might be some sort of dowry at stake.
That's what I mean, yeah.
It is also apparently, according to this article, it is really bad luck or something like bad voodoo if you leave a wedding unmarried, which sort of makes you wonder, how often does this happen?
Bad luck, like the bride dying, like that kind of bad luck. If we don't marry this, something really bad. Yeah, we all liked her, but I'm talking something really bad. Yes, she's dead, but something really bad could happen if we don't.
So here's another part of the story that I also found interesting. All right, so the bride, she's dropped dead in front of the altar.
Sure.
They're like, oh, what do we do? We're going to marry the sister. They start to prepare the sister for the ceremony, and you're like,
let's get that dress off of her.
What? Well, I mean, yeah. What do you do with the dead body? Well, apparently they just
leave it there.
No, they stashed it in a neighboring
She's
room.
shorter. She needs something to stand on. She can stand on her sister.
But okay, so we make fun of this, but one of the uncles actually did say that it was a tough call for the family.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, it was an even tougher call, forcing the groom to consummate with the first sister in the closet.
I mean, it sounds to me like he's sort of the winner here.
And making the second sister participate.
I mean, in the end, he got a newer, better model.
I guess so.
I think everyone's happy except for, you know, the one who died.
Yeah, I'm possibly the younger sister.
From India, I then want to briefly move to Kurdistan.
Okay.
So we have, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Sweden is one of the most generous countries in the world. And
sure.
One of the ways in which we show our generosity and also brag about it whenever we get an opportunity is that we take in a lot of immigrants, like a shit ton of immigrants. Per capita, the most in Europe. In absolute numbers, we're up there. I think like Germany takes in more, but Germany is also, you know, a huge country. Yeah. Anyway, so a lot of Kurdish immigrants, and one of these people might or might not be one of my colleagues at work. His family is from Kurdistan. I think he's lived in Sweden almost his entire life. Came here when he was young, and then a few months ago, he started exercising a lot, and he wanted to lose weight. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And he had a pretty heavy workout regimen. I was like, oh, okay. Is there something special happening? Like, why the sudden exercise craze? Okay, well, it turned out he was taking 4 weeks off and going to Iraq to go visit family, and they were going to fly down there and so on. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. Okay. Like during a pandemic, is it that important? Well, apparently it was. He got some freaking tests done. You need like some sort of proof that you're either vaccinated or that you don't have corona to travel. So he did that. He went to Iraq, came back 3.5 weeks later. After 2 days of him being back, well, realized he's fucking engaged now. Apparently, in Kurdish circles, during the spring, there are these huge parties, huge gatherings where people go to find a person they're going to marry.
Okay.
That's why he was exercising.
So he was like, I'm going to meet my wife. Oh, you're engaged? Like you've been talking to her? No, I'm going to meet her. I mean, I'm hoping she's going to be at this party because I've got to find someone.
No, they just met out by the cows in the back. That's an interesting cultural difference. I also found out that one of my sister's acquaintances, who is also Kurdish, 38 years old, also went to Iraq for the same reason, to find a wife. He also found one. The wife being...
The wives don't have much of a choice, so yeah, they're...
Well, I mean, she's 20 years old, so...
Okay. I mean, a 38-year-old man is, basically a 20-year-old woman.
We are a culturally sensitive podcast.
You know that during the Russian Imperial Dynasty, they counted many Kurds among their population, and they fought very hard to make sure that the Kurds didn't join the Ottoman Empire in their war against Russia.
I am so glad that you binging those books finally paid off, Ryan.
Did you know that the last emperor of Russia, his marriage was the only one that was not an arranged marriage?
What do you mean the only
Alexandra, to Alexandra of Hesse. They met when they were teenagers, and there were many arranged marriages that Nicholas II, Nicky II, his parents tried to arrange marriages with other people, but he was actually in love with Alexandra. So they and her parents weren't really thrilled about her marrying him either. And they were one of the only ones, the only marriage that wasn't arranged, and it was actually a marriage of love. And they all got killed in a basement in Yekaterinburg with their kids, their 5 kids. They all just got shot and bayoneted.
I mean, I would say score 1 for arranged marriages, because
it seems like maybe it didn't work out so well.
From weddings and marriages to weddings to be, we have started to lift restrictions in Sweden. Life is getting back to normal. Right. With the lifting of restrictions, I have once again, mostly for the entertainment of our listeners, thrown myself out on the dating apps. And I would like to tell, sure. So this is a match I had on Tinder right before I left to go to southern Sweden, and we started talking. And so her name is Rachel. She is a children's counselor, works at the school. She is 32 years of age. We started talking, and she made a big deal in the beginning about how you know what really matters. What she wants to find. She wants to find like personality. She wants to find someone that she clicks with, someone who shares her values. That's what she wants.
Seems reasonable.
I mean, that's perfectly fine. It's going really well. We're having a good time. We arranged for a date after I get back. So this Sunday was supposed to be this date. Then a few days ago, while we're talking, she cancels the date. And she cancels the date because we had just been talking. We had just been talking about height, and she found out that I am 1 inch shorter than her, and sadly, she is attracted to taller men. I mean, I think height is a very important...
Big part of personality, apparently. Yeah. Personality is 90% height.
I respect that people have preferences for what they find attractive, and it's perfectly fine that you want someone who is Steve Hall. That's perfectly fine. Just don't
pretend. Like, I listened to a weeks-long screed on how much you care about personality, only to find out what you really meant was height and looks. I mean, mostly height.
It's what all personalities are.
What is wrong with me?
Anyway, tune in next week for more adventures on Tinder. I promise you, it's going to be great.
You can't write this stuff like this. Like, we just need to take this stuff down and turn it into a TV show. Like, I wouldn't have come up with that. That's such a great twist.
Well,
I mean, unfortunate for you, but a great TV show twist.
it is a fact that a lot of guys on dating apps, they just lie about their height and say that they are 5'9" or 6 or however long tall.
And you being honest cost you.
One of the best Tinder conversations that I have ever seen on Reddit, where people farm for karma by posting fun conversations. One of the best ones is when a guy matched a girl and she realizes how short he is, and her response is, "What the fuck am I supposed to do with you? Pet you?" Okay, so do you remember what I shared the other day in the chat?
Of course I remember. I'm gonna remember all over myself right now.
Apple is releasing a new watch. Did you see this? Series 7 or something like that.
Saw that you shared it. You said it wasn't that many days ago. I remember when you shared it. I didn't click on the link because I've never been interested in an Apple Watch, but
I mean, that's fine. It's a fucking watch, but they're releasing a new one, and it has a few more functions, but I think their priority is battery time. But they also talked about future functions that will be in an Apple Watch, and one of those functions was that it should be able to measure alcohol levels in your blood.
Oh, right. Yes.
It is also supposed to be able to measure your what do you call it? Your blood levels, something like that.
Yeah, they want, so like Apple with iOS 15, like I have the beta of iOS 15 right now on my phone. And with iOS 15, they really expanded their health app. It will tell me if I have a problem walking. Like there's a
what do you mean?
There's a stability.
Was it just going off, binging all over the place when you were at the dog?
Apparently I am one of the most. It's walking steadiness is what they measure. Is one of the things so like if I had the Apple Watch, there's so many more settings in the new health app that could be unlocked, and like I've read articles about how they're concerned about Apple gathering too much health data about people, because like there's also the audio headphone levels to where it measures my exposure above 78 decibels over the last 7 days is 1 hour and 25 minutes.
Oh.
I'm at 34% of my 7-day limit, so I'm good. Because if you're above that, like there'll be an alert that pops up and says, hey, if you listen at above this level for any more amount of time, you're at risk of long-term damage to your hearing. But since I've been below 78 decibels and I'm only at 34% of my max for 7 days, I'm good.
There is a joke to be made here about dishwashers, but I can't think of it right now. It's also, I don't know,
if your dishwasher is causing long-term hearing loss, your Apple Watch will track it. But no, this just goes along with what your Apple Watch, like, okay. They want all your data. They want all your health data. They want to be your doctor, basically. Tim Cook is like, I'll be your doctor. Send me your poop.
So blood alcohol levels, body temperature, other things, they're going to be able.
The stool still.
Yeah, no. So this brings me to functions that I would like to see in the Apple Watch. So one of them that I thought about, why can't it tell me if I'm pooping healthy?
It should. Absolutely should. That's both a joke and not a joke. Like if they're going to measure everything else, you can tell a lot about a person's health and diet from their stool samples. If you could just scan it, like turn your like, all right, we recognize that you've been sitting in this room that you often sit in every day. So we think that you're pooping right now. If you could just snap a quick pic, you don't even have to take a pic. We already have access to the camera.
I just figured that you would just go down with your hands, you know?
Oh, like JVL did that one time when his daughter, you remember back in the OG substandard episodes, one of the first ones, one of the kids had pooped in the bathtub and JVL reached in to drain it with his Apple Watch for athletes on his wrist.
Yep.
And he had to throw that away.
Yeah, no, and then like it touches, it can measure the density
No,
of
that
it.
exactly. Yeah, now it's not an accident when you plunge your wrist with your watch into poop. Now it's on purpose, and it's
Yeah,
gonna like tell you all kinds of data.
I have a second function
All right.
that's related to both drinking and like dating. So say that you're out at the pub or bar or the nightclub and it's getting late. It's starting to be near closing. You are quite drunk. You might
Closing time.
you might also be getting a bit desperate. You really need to find someone to go home with for the night.
All right.
A lot of bad decisions are made
Sure.
at that point in the night. You might
Mm.
it might be a 10, it might be a cougar, but it might also be, you know, a land whale. You don't really know. Your judgment is just gone. So you should just have your
Is this the beer goggles experience that people talk about?
you just have your watch and I don't know, like hold it up and tell her like,
Oh.
look at this, and then your watch will like vibrate or do something.
Your watch says we've ordered you an Uber. Go home right now. We've analyzed the person that you've asked us to, and we've ordered you an Uber for one person, and it's you need to get in it and go home.
It either orders one or two cars.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Or it's like we've pulled up her address and we've ordered a 2-person Uber for her house, so you're safe to get in there. That's like a fail-safe feature.
Yeah.
I think like Apple would probably get like some pushbacks, people saying it's a little bit problematic of like, who are you to judge by people's physical appearance?
I'm not judging. Apple is judging.
We're not. Apple is the one that's judging. Yes.
They want to be both matchmaker and doctor. Do you remember on one of the very first episodes of the show, we talked about the new Palm?
Our show? Oh, yes.
Promoted by Steph Curry.
Palm, because what was it? It was like a sleeve or something like that. It was a wearable.
Yeah, you could like have it on your
on your shoulder or your whatever, and that's gone nowhere. And they got freaking Steph Curry to pitch it for them.
Stupid San Francisco startups.
Well, and that's who they go for now. They go for like these startups. Like it's not even your tech that like gets you the funding. If you can get someone cool, like for some reason NBA players are a big deal with these angel investors. And so like if you can say, oh, I'll get Kevin Durant or Steph Curry to call you, and or you'll be able to say you're in business with Kevin Durant or Steph Curry, they're more likely to invest regardless of whether it's a good product or not, just so they can say that they're doing something with Steph Curry or Kevin Durant or Andre.
This is so stupid.
I'm serious, especially Warriors. It's mostly Warriors, but even like LA Clippers, like Kawhi. If you can get Kawhi to be involved or LeBron.
Speaking of basketball,
but you're not going to get LeBron.
Speaking of basketball, the Suns are in the finals.
The Suns are in the fucking finals.
Since the first time since 1994 or something like that.
Yeah, I think 1994, 1993. I think the 93-94 season when they had Charles Barkley. To think of like all those years when they had Steve Nash, and Steve Nash won like 2 MVPs back to back, and people thought for sure that was going to be it. And now they don't even have really a superstar. They have an aging superstar in Chris Paul. And I'm glad. I've been watching this series, and I didn't really care who won, either the Clippers, because I like Paul George. Paul George was drafted by the Pacers, and so I became a fan of him like from his rookie year on. And he led the Pacers to some Eastern Conference Finals games against LeBron, and so I've always liked Paul George. And then Paul George got a lot of negative reaction to win one year with the Oklahoma City Thunder. He called himself Playoff P. He had a bad playoff series, and so people made fun of him. Oh, Playoff P! What are you doing, Playoff P?
I did see a video. I think you probably shared it on Twitter of what's his face getting pushed to the floor.
Paul. Yeah, Chris Paul. So Pat Beverly is like this guy on the Clippers who's like, he's a defensive specialist. He's a gritty player. He's not like he's not a great shooter. He's not a great scorer, but he can shut down the best player on the other team. So he's got kind of an attitude to him. The game was over. It was already, so it's not like Pat Beverly cost him the game. The game was over early. Pat Beverly talks trash, but Chris Paul also is a famous trash talker. But Chris Paul is a veteran. Like, Chris Paul is going to be a Hall of Famer. And so he knows how to, like, he's done this throughout his career. He knows just how to jab at guys just the right way to like set them off to where they'll like, swing at you or something like that. And he did that last night. It was in the fourth quarter already. The Suns were up by like 26. And as somebody called a timeout, and they're walking. Chris Paul is walking by Pat Beverly. Chris Paul says something, just like a whisper of something. You can't read his lips. The microphones don't pick it up. Pat Beverly turns around, shoves Chris Paul in the back with both hands, and then the video shows Chris Paul on the ground because Pat Beverly's ejected, and the video immediately, if you zoom in on it, Chris Paul's on the ground and he's just laughing so hard because he got him. He was like, I was gonna get him, and he got him. Pat Beverly's a famous hothead, and Chris Paul like knew that he could say something that was gonna piss him off.
Let's not talk about the Arizona baseball team. I saw that they are dead last in their division.
Are they bad?
22 wins, 60 losses. So that could be going better. Transition. So there are few people that we have any reverence for on this show. One of them is Steve Bing, and the other,
peace. Very sad.
The other is Christopher Nolan. And in honor of the man, we probably should have recorded this and then spliced it up and just placed it haphazardly in the episode.
We should have done this episode completely out of order.
Well, although we already did that once. I don't remember why we did it. If we just felt like it. This was before Tenet, right? Yeah.
It was. We had the idea first. It was our idea.
Yeah, we also play with time. Some guy named Tom
we did it because of Seinfeld. We did it like that Seinfeld episode where they do everything backwards.
Yeah, we're also copycats. Anyway, the Nolan Variations is a new book by this Tom guy about, or is it new? When did this come out?
2020, October 2020. So it's fairly new.
That's new. Time has stood still during the pandemic.
I can't believe we didn't hear about it though. I would have obviously talked about it sooner, but I didn't know.
Everyone knows who Christopher Nolan is. What's in this book?
There are definitely a lot of things that I've learned about him. He's a much bigger fan of like pop culture and film than I would have guessed. It seems like most of these auteur directors are kind of just like in their own head and don't know what's going on outside of like what they think is cool. But like Christopher Nolan, he knows all kinds of stuff about pop culture, music, and film.
Unexpected.
Like he's seen two films that he's seen multiple times in the theater are Kingpin, that stupid movie
where like movie?
Yes,
no. Yeah.
That really dumb, funny bullet. He thinks that is Woody Harrelson in Kingpin is one of the greatest performances ever. He said, I saw that multiple times in the theater. And then La La Land. He said he saw La La Land 19 times in the theater.
Okay.
And the Damien Chevalier. The author in the book is talking about how, because at the point I am in the book, they go through chronologically. They talk about Nolan's upbringing and then how he was from middle school through high school. He went to a boarding school in England, and it was like a Catholic boarding school. Nolan talks about what freedom is being able to pretend, because he thought he's not Catholic, and he thought most of the stuff that the priests and monks were telling them was nonsense. And he said the freedom is being able to recite the things they want to say, that they want you to say, and pretend to be the person they want you to be, but then being subversive in your mind, tricking them into thinking that you're going along with the program, but in your head you're laughing at them and you're mocking their ideas and stuff like that. And
I'm not sure I'm entirely convinced of this definition of freedom.
And he said that was how you get freedom if you're sent to a boarding school.
Oh, okay.
Is you pretend to go along and do it because then they don't think you're one of the bad kids, and you can get away with a lot more because you're only subversive in your head.
Okay, because he went to boarding school in London and his brother went to school in the US.
His brother went to an American school in Chicago because his parents split time. His dad was like an advertising executive, like a Mad Men guy, but in Chicago and London. His dad did some work with Tony Scott. Because of that, he got to tour Pinewood Studios in London back before it was like a popular thing. He got to see the first Star Wars film like 5 months before it was released to the public. And so he's going to his school and he's telling his friends all about this movie Star Wars. And he's telling his friends how they did the effects in Star Wars before they even have any idea what film he's talking about. And his friends are like, what are you talking about? And then finally everybody sees Star Wars and they remember, oh, you were telling us about this a long time ago.
He was already then ahead of his time.
He was. Yeah, he was. And it was just because of his circumstances to where this is kind of like if you read Malcolm Gladwell's book Outliers. He was kind of put in the perfect situation with his dad being kind of connected to Hollywood through London and getting to do like his dad had all kinds of video cameras laying around. And so him and his brother, Jonathan, who he called Jonah, they got to make movies when they were little kids and they got to see behind the scenes stuff of how movies were made when they were little kids. And so then they got to test it out for their whole lives. And so it's no wonder his first movie was like really good. He married Emma Thomas, who's been his producing partner for his whole career. She had a job when they first graduated film school together in London, and they lived in London in a little flat. And she had a job reading scripts. One script she brought home was Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction.
Ooh.
And he read it before it was a movie. And he said, this is the new Citizen Kane. Before it was made. And he basically said this, he picked out for whatever reason that script and said, this is going to be just a long-term film that's looked at. And it kind of defined the way that he made movies because that movie messed around with time. It didn't show everything in chronological order up until, the early 90s. That was like a big thing because he pointed out that from like the 60s until the mid 90s, movies were pretty much presented in chronological order because they had to be sold for TV. And with commercials being on TV, stories couldn't be told out of order.
Right.
And he basically said because of commercials. And so that was like kind of revolutionary idea in the 90s that you could but movies before the 1960s were told out of order all the time. It was only during that era of movies have to be sold to TV as well as on the big screen that you had to tell movies in the right order. Anyway, and I want to play just a clip from the of this book, just because he talks about...
Don't say their name. We're not sponsored by them.
I want to play a clip from this company that Jeff Bezos owns that will not be named, that's related to Amazon, that has audiobooks. Because the author talks about how he tries to get... the point I am in the book is after Memento came out, the film, his second film with Guy Pearce, where Guy Pearce has the amnesia where he forgets his short-term memory is destroyed. And so he forgets every 10 minutes. He's trying to figure out who killed his wife.
I struggle with that movie.
I struggle with that movie too. I watched it last night. And after listening to this, reading this book, all of Nolan's movies, he talks about how he has ambiguity built into them, but it's honest. He says it's honest ambiguity because he has a perspective that he thinks happened, like with Inception, where he spins the top at the end. Nolan absolutely has an idea of like what the truth is. He will never say it. Like one time with Memento, he told this Italian newspaper what he believes the truth is in Memento and who he thinks is telling the truth. And his brother Jonathan told him, never do that again. You cannot ever tell people what you think, because they're going to ignore everything else, and they're not gonna like put their own interpretation into it if you tell them what you think. So he's refused in any of his movies since then to tell like what if there's ambiguity, he refused to tell what his perspective is. But he says if you make a movie that's ambiguous and you don't have a perspective, it will come across as fake. So the director has to have his perspective. He has to believe one story, and then it can be true ambiguity, because if not, audiences will just think it's fake. If you don't believe in one of them, then in one truth, if you're just like, I don't know what happened, if you don't know what happened, then people aren't going to like it. And so he does in all his movies. He has a scenario he believes that is there, but he won't say what it is.
And what's this clip that you're going to play?
This clip is from when the author asks him about the truth about Memento, because the author thinks that he's figured out what the truth is in Memento. Nolan won't tell him. And he relates that to The Prestige, which obviously at the point the author is doing these interviews, Tom Schoen is the author. He did hundreds of hours of interviews while Nolan was making Tenet. Obviously, they both know about The Prestige and Memento. Even at this point in his life, Nolan won't tell him what he thinks the truth is about Memento. So I'm going to play it from, I think this is the right spot.
If, on the other hand, we refuse to accept Leonard's guilt, then all of this is undone. The character flagged as the liar is indeed a liar, and the one character we believe to be innocent is indeed so. Surely it's no contest. The film, with all the irony and guilt and layered characterization, pleases. Nolan listens as I tell him this, nodding. It makes sense, but I'm not sure that I would go along with your idea of Leonard having been billed as truthful. The reason is, no, innocent. Or indeed innocent. Because there were very explicit references throughout the film to him being an unreliable narrator. The idea that he lies to himself to be happy. We all do. Right. That's exactly my point. Do I lie to myself to be happy? In your case, Teddy, yes, I will. The alternative, that he's as innocent as he says he is, and that Teddy is just as much of a liar as we're told he is far too on the nose. There's no twist. Nolan refuses to say anything, just smiles like the Cheshire Cat. And now you're not going to say anything because you know I'm right, and you don't want to ruin it for everybody else, I say. I'm just going to say that you sound a lot like Hugh Jackman's character at the end of The Prestige, he says. How come? I mean, if you watch toward the end, it's what Michael Caine says to that. It's very apt. What is it? Watch the film again. That evening, I returned to the apartment I have rented through Airbnb for the duration of our interviews, and I re-watched The Prestige for the umpteenth time. The movie concerns two magicians locked in a fatal rivalry, ostensibly over a trick called The Transported Man, in which the magician walks behind a door on one side of the stage and reappears magically from a door on the other side. Determined to prise the secret of the trick loose from his rival, Hugh Jackman resorts to theft, even murder, and when he finally learns the secret, he can barely believe his ears. "It's too simple," he cries, which leads to this piece of voiceover narration from Michael Caine's Cutter, a recapitulation of a similar speech at the very beginning of the film. "Now you're looking for the secret, but you won't find it, because you don't really want to know. You want to be fooled." In other words, as much as I want Nolan to confirm whether I have solved the puzzle of Memento, I don't want him to tell me, because then the fun would go out of it. On some level, I want to be fooled, from which we can infer the slightly cruel dynamic that informs Nolan's films. Call it William Empson's 8th type of ambiguity, Nolan's favorite, when it's the other guy's problem.
Like, thinking about Michael, Nolan thinks that he is like that line from Michael Caine in all of his movies, and that like you don't want me to tell you what the answer is. You just want to keep trying to figure it out over and over.
Right. No, and I think that is this is why I like his movies. I I don't want him to. I don't want to go read
I
an
don't-
Italian newspaper and.
Right. Yeah. No. Every time I watch Inception, or not every time, multiple times I've watched Inception, and I've thought, okay, no, he's dreaming, and then other times I've thought, no, he's definitely not dreaming. That's what makes it great, and that's what makes Memento great. Is like, wait a second, is he Sammy Jenkins? Did he inject his wife too many times with insulin, or is Teddy lying? Then the movie just ends, and you're like he doesn't tell you, and he's not going to tell you, but he knows. So he knows what he believes, but he doesn't want to influence the audience, because that's the fun of his movies, is that you get to try to figure it out.
Well, I just decided that before I go to bed today, I'm gonna watch Tenet again. I haven't rewatched it since I saw it in theaters.
I'm gonna rewatch Tenet also, and I rewatched. So since I've started reading this, I didn't start with the first movie. I rewatched Dunkirk, and then last night I watched Tenet I watched Memento with Jonah, because the night before I'm starting Jonah's education in movies that are kind of confounding to me. So the first night we watched Primer. Have you seen Primer?
No.
Written and directed by Shane Carruth. It's a time travel movie that, there have been articles and blogs written trying to understand that movie and what happens. And I've seen it probably 20 or 30 times.
Do you understand what happens?
I think. I think so. Yes. Now I'm pretty sure. I would. The first 10 times, no, I did not understand. It came out in 2004, so I was pretty young when I watched it.
There are two Nolan movies that I haven't seen. I will say that Dunkirk is probably my favorite. I love that movie to bits, but I still haven't seen Following. And
Following, they talk about it in this book. I saw it a long time ago. I didn't like it, but listening to them talk about it, I want to watch it again, because I think I might actually like it.
And then there's also the movie that came after Memento, Insomnia, I also haven't seen.
We saw that. So that's a remake of a Swedish film. He didn't write it, but after he saw the Swedish version, and he heard that some studio was already doing a remake of it in English, he really, really wanted to do the remake. And basically, the studio wouldn't meet with him. But then Steven Soderbergh saw Memento, and Steven Soderbergh told the studio, you have to meet with this guy. And if you're going to do a remake, you need to let Christopher Nolan do the remake. So that's not as much of you can kind of throw Insomnia to the side, is that's not really his original idea.
Insomnia is Norwegian.
Right. Swedish.
Okay. It stars Stellan
Skarsgård.
And Maria Bonnevie. Hey, this movie might actually be good.
So you're gonna watch the Norwegian version, aren't you?
Maybe.
The American version's good. Because Robin Williams and Al Pacino are in it, and they're good. It's just it's not like a Nolan movie though. There are themes in it that are Nolan but it's not his script and not his idea. So, but he just really wanted to remake it. And if he was going to get a payday remaking somebody else's movie, he thought this was going to be the best.
Okay. Anything else about Nolan?
No, I think, I'm only a third of the way into the book, so I'll have more next week.
We have 3 quick things before we leave. The first, I finally watched yesterday, which was...
the Beatles thing? Yeah. Is that the Beatles?
Yeah. I've seen that. It was quite lovely, actually.
It was I don't like the Beatles at all, but it was actually good. I actually really liked it.
Yeah, I was sitting there wondering is this actually happening? Is he in a coma? No, but that was really interesting. And then just the humor in it was actually funny when
I thought the parts with him and who's that red-haired pop singer? They have the songwriting contest.
Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran. I thought that was funny, where they go off and they have a contest of who can write the best song, and then he just plays a Beatles song. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, and the things when he asks for a Coke, gets a Pepsi, Coke doesn't
Yeah.
exist. Cigarettes
because
aren't a
of
thing.
that stupid commercial. Yeah.
That's thing number one. Number two, give a rating to Mayor of Easttown.
Out of 77, out of 27 out of 77 stars, I would give it like 73, 74, maybe even 75 stars.
That's good, huh?
Is really good. I really liked it. I did not think they were going to be able to pull it off, because it does I will say, it seems like it goes off on a lot of tangents, and I thought it was going to be like that what's that show I talked about with Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant, that show that was on HBO before, to where there are so many strings and they just don't even bother connecting them. They just like leave them out there. I thought this was going to happen with Mayor of Easttown, but it ties everything up, and I was so shocked. It's really good. And it actually has like a good message to it, like something that's relevant. It's really good. And I mean, obviously Kate Winslet is amazing in it. The other actors, you'll recognize Roy from The Office. He's in it and he's great.
Okay, and the last thing before we leave is, I'm stealing Ryan's thing here. Ryan shared with Chris and me some of the things about Ford v Ferrari. And 10 miles after Le Mans 66, to another Ford driver, he said, "I think I've been fucked."
That should have been in the that would have been so. Christian Bale, like, I can't believe they robbed us of Christian Bale saying that in that like Cockney accent that he was doing. That would have been
brilliant. Anyway, until next time, thank you for listening. There were a minimum number of interruptions on this show. We'll see if we can keep it that way. Thank you for listening.